Recording. Are we good to go, gentlemen?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I just got yeah.
So what's been up with you guys besides Dr. Yong singing Jason Mraz song?
What's that? Had a feng shui master come over
Uh-huh.
recently. Because of my back-to-back incidents in the family. My wife broke his left elbow. I broke my left elbow in 3 weeks
Oh,
apart.
I didn't know that. Your
Um,
wife?
yeah. No. My kid. My kid.
Oh, okay,
My
okay.
kid, and then me, 3 weeks apart. So it's like one. So there's a few reasons for this. One is that after doing energetic clearing for my clients and everything, I did not do the final cleanse for myself because I was of the delusion that I am powerful enough.
Oh,
So
yeah.
no, lesson learned. Lesson two was after the feng shui consult is like everything because it's a rental unit and my wife rushed in while I was doing my pilgrimage in Egypt. So she, being the Wonder Woman that she is, brought the kids from Malaysia and found a place and settled in within 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she migrated her and the kids back first without me. And because of that, we just accepted whatever layout, But
Is it
turns out
haunted?
that,
Is the rented place haunted?
not haunted, but then where I am where I am working right now, my little office space is Wu Gui. Okay, and then where the master bedroom in is our Liu Sha. And where the kids is sleeping is not for them. It's for adults. And where the adults are sleeping actually is bad for adults, but it's actually good for the kids. So we're going to do a little bit of overhaul, just to make things more smoother for the year 2025. Yeah.
So you say your room is ukwe, as in, is it a turtle or is it five ghosts? Like
Oh,
I don't
five
get.
ghosts. Yeah. My workstation is five ghosts.
So
I
what
was gonna
else?
ask,
Yeah.
Wu Gui means no ghosts ah.
Oh, ukwe.
Five ghosts. Five ghosts. Five ghosts.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
what does
And
five ghosts means in a work area?
five ghosts it's all xiong lor. Xiong is bad. So liu sha is bad.
You
So essentially it's those you can imagine good as green and bad as red. So it's like everywhere is red.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And in my last group session I talk about, fortune telling,
Yeah.
the 中华武术三一命相谱, which talks about the entire ecosystem of Chinese metaphysics, and this feng shui is just one part of them, and it's already so powerful you could spend one whole lifetime doing it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have the lifetime, so that's why I call an expert in.
Okay.
Yes, but
ask him come
it's
on board lah. Let's say if you got time, we can deep dive into this
sure.
This,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting.
And where I was leading to in the group session, right, was that all these fortune tellers, for one particular person, which is a journalist, his name is Tejano Tejani, who he went to different fortune tellers throughout Southeast Asia because one fortune teller told him he couldn't fly that year. So he traveled by foot, by rail, by car, by train, but no flying. And he found that, and he put it out a challenge, that I'm going to ask every fortune teller wherever I go and see whether they say the same thing. And I would say 70% of the time they say the same thing about what's going to happen in the year, and they also predict what will happen at age 61.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's talk about possibly fortune telling in a future episode.
Okay,
But that was where I led into the Chinese metaphysics and feng shui, and my real life example of why I consulted feng shui.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think after
Yes.
you change your feng shui everything, I think Strange World viewership will hit 10,000 already.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah, we
And
will
SC,
proxy.
SC membership reached 200,000.
Closer, one step closer to our 500 million best meditation
Yes.
target.
Yes.
All right.
That was
So
well.
let's get back to today's episode. Today is episode 5.
I think it's 5. Should be.
6. 5.
Wait.
6.
I
6.
Okay, everyone. Oh no, I
Good check,
think
good check.
it's 6.
How did we get 6 already?
I don't know.
We've done so many.
You go YouTube and count. I'm going to start narrating first. The near-death experience code is consciousness, just an infodynamic transfer. So today we're going to be exploring the science, the paranormal accounts, and religious implications of near-death encounters. Well, Welcome back to Strange World, ladies and gentlemen. If there's one thing we know, it's that death is inevitable. But what if it's not the end? What if, instead of fading into nothingness, our consciousness continues somewhere, somehow? Tonight, we're diving into one of the most fascinating mysteries of all time. Near-death experiences, or NDE for short. Millions of people across different cultures have reported eerily similar experiences of seeing a light, reliving their past, or even encountering entities beyond human comprehension. Are these just hallucinations, tricks of a dying brain, or are they glimpses into something bigger, something structured? We'll be breaking this down from every angle: science, spirituality, and the supernatural. And as always, we want to hear from you. Do you believe near-death experiences reveal an afterlife? Or are they just a final neuro spark before the lights go out? I really don't feel good. It's like getting a...
Is anyone here?
What did you find? You are listening to Supernatural Confessions. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Strange World with me, my co-host. Right in the middle is Dr. Yong, Dr. Yong KY, today looking like a hot rapper. And also on the extreme right corner of your screen, that is Mary Mike, aka Michael Cool.
Okay, so just to confirm, we are at episode 6, which means that there was one episode that was supposed to be only one, but became two somehow.
There we go. There we
I
go.
think it's definitely the thermodynamics one.
Yeah, so we are midway to the end of season 1, and whether Strange World will get a continuation for season 2 depends very much largely on our audience. If you guys enjoy what we are talking about, if there's an audience who's hungry for such knowledge, then yeah, sure, we'll put this up again for season 2. Otherwise, you'll just die a quiet death.
Yeah. All right. So Eugene, I think when it comes to death in that sense, I think a lot of us kind of know what happens when a person dies, and typically this could be cultural, it could be religious, or even a person's own psychology. I think there has definitely been a time where we just kind of consider, or at least I have, and I think I gave that question to you once in the episode 1 or 2. Where it's like, do you ever think about what happens to us after we are gone?
Yeah.
So, the thing is that what confuses us about this is that what happens to those who actually return after that. So I'm not talking about like ghosts or spirits, but in a sense, like there have been many cases where there are people who have been clinically who are confirmed clinically dead by doctors, and for some reason, right, will wake up with very clear, vivid memories, and telling people like, oh, I was in a different place, or I could see my own self even, and it's pretty creepy. I know that my mom actually has experienced something like this. One day it was very long ago, she was jogging, and then suddenly that she saw herself, her own body collapse, but she was not in her body anymore. She was actually above in the sky, and uh she could actually see people trying to help her. And I think at some point where she got like nervous, I mean, obviously anyone would be, right? If you see your own body, and then like there was this moment where she said that she got nervous, she wanted to quickly get up and then move on, correct? And then she just kind of like appeared right back inside her own body, and then she woke up. And then she carried on. That's it. No. That time got no internet, no YouTube. There's no way for me to like go on TikTok and say, "Hey, this just happened to me." It was one of those times. No one had a phone at the time. So this is one of the things that. It was actually the story that she told me is one of my earliest introductions to the spiritual side of life itself. Right. So near death experience.
Sorry. So Mike, we for me, honestly,
Yeah.
it's something that happens rarely, right? Something that happens rarely.
Oh, yeah.
But if we go by statistics, right, roughly 1 in 10 patients who had a cardiac arrest in hospital experiences a near-death experience.
Oh.
And statistically, in research papers, there's a range. It happens between 3.6 to 23% of people who have a cardiac arrest will experience an NDE.
I see.
And according to the Annals of New York Academy of the Sciences, just in year 2011 alone, 9 million people have reported NDEs in the US. So that's a pretty huge number. It's just
Yeah.
that there's probably no platform to share, and people probably just boo it, which brings to why we are here today, right, Eugene?
Yeah.
Correct. I think it also feels like it's a dreamlike state, and I think people also kind of, because don't have supernatural confessions everywhere in the world, right? So
Yes.
got no place to report all this, and tell Eugene, this happened to me.
Yeah. I mean, we should try to actively reach out to all these people. I mean, I'm assuming we mean 9 million that's in the West, right? But
In the
globally,
West, only 1 year, yes.
yeah, globally there should be
Much.
the numbers are much larger, and we can find those in Asia if they're willing to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct. So it's very interesting. Also, not just that it's happened to them, but it is what they experience during this. So I would say that right now, and I'm pretty sure that there's still research going on in this, whereby near-death experiences are one of the most mysterious and controversial things that has come into the science and spirituality side, because it really is the blend of both together. People report seeing, like my mom, she sees herself floating outside of their bodies. Some people have reported that they see their entire lives just flash before their eyes before they come back again. And even more interestingly, some have also said that they enter different realms of indescribable light. Yeah.
I mean, you would
Or
imagine that this kind of statistics, this wouldn't be a mystery anymore. I guess there seems to be some sort of conscious desire to disbelieve in the supernatural, which prevents the science community from accepting this as naturally forming phenomena.
no lah, it's the eye in the sky, telling people, hey, stop talking about this already.
The lizard people, the eye in the
Yeah,
sky.
lah, yeah, lah, yeah, lah, yeah, lah. They correct. Yeah, I'm pretty sure
So
that
this
happened.
inside this head got tin foil, you know.
I just realized.
Just kidding.
What do you think's underneath?
These bags are to cover the eye also. Okay, so now the question also is: are these hallucinations caused by a dying brain? Because there is science behind a dying brain. The way it operates right before it goes right.
Yeah.
It triggers certain things for a person to see things, right? Or could NDEs also be evidence that consciousness is not confined to our physical bodies? Then you come into the part where is our consciousness part of the spirit, part of the soul, or is it brain chemicals going back and forth?
Okay.
Yeah. So going back to what we've been talking about in the previous episode, is this consciousness part of a larger structured process, and perhaps an infodynamic transfer from one to another?
I think this sounds very much like a Dr. Yong's kind of question today. I got a feeling that he's gonna, he has a lot to share. So I'm just
he's
gonna
preparing already.
yeah. So I'm just going to add on to this topic with experience that was shared to me by someone very, very close, and there's no reason for the person to lie. He's an elderly man. He went for surgery, and there was a chance that the surgery would go wrong and he would die lah. So I think the surgery went belly up, or he was, for some reason, he went into a cardiac arrest during the surgery. What was interesting was he was able to come out of his body, see what's going on, hear what's going on, and it's almost like you, in game term, you are just floating as a ghost, watching spectator view. And there was a bright light, as with everyone saying that at the end of life, there's always this bright light. And he was looking at the bright light, and he was told by voices beyond the light, he couldn't see anything there. And he'll say that it's not your time. you have still a lot of work to do.
Mm.
And then he felt a push, and he went back into his body, and then there was he could hear the sound, although he couldn't see anymore. And next thing he know, he was like resuscitated and everything. So later on, when he met the nurses and everything, so he asked like, "Oh, how did the surgery go? Was there any complication?" They go like, yeah, it was all fine. Everything was great." He's like, "Oh, because I could have saw, I just died and I saw this." Then he described what he saw. Then she went pale. She's like,
Mm.
because what he said, like through the words and the actions, right? There's no way he could have known. If you say words, yes, maybe he's like lucid, some way he could still hear, get it. But to see, when his eyes were closed and he was like flatlining, there was no way the nurse could explain. But of course, I think typical of reality, if people cannot explain certain things, they just laugh it off, and that was the end of the conversation. There was no follow up, no more
what a
further
waste.
detail. Yeah, so to him, it's like, did I die? Did I not die? But to the nurses and doctors, they confirmed that he was flatlined for about 9 minutes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. And I too have a story to add to this.
Yeah.
My first encounter to NDEs is back in 2015.
Ooh.
And when I was traveling in South America in Chile. And thank you, Mike, for the background music.
Was that?
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, and as we were traveling, I came to be hosted by this very, very nice family, the superintendent police of the town of Coaque, and also his wife, who is a podiatrist, and their daughter, who is an emergency department nurse. However, this daughter of theirs is a very shy, introverted person, and every time we would bump into each other, it would be like hola, bye, okay, that's it. But on the last day that I was supposed to leave the family, we went for a picnic, and after the picnic, sitting in the car, suddenly this lady, her name is Fernanda, she tapped me on my left shoulder. I was seated on the right side, and she said, "Yo puedes salir cuerpo." I was like interpreting, and like, oh, I can exit my body. And then when I got that right, then I turned to the side and like, why are you telling me this? I don't want to know. Until it seems that okay, there's probably a reason behind this. And when I was much calmer, like 15 minutes later, I asked her, why are you telling me this? And she says that somehow I knew you understand. Ding ding ding.
Oh.
Then after that, after I recovered from that, I was like, my investigative mind came ready. So when did this happen? And she said that, oh, every time she does a double shift, 6 hours back to back, then she will experience it because she's so tired and she can't control. She will suddenly notice herself sleeping on the table from the ceiling. And after that, then my question is like, then what do you do, right? Do you like fly through walls, or do you go visit other places? Then she says that, yes, I can fly through walls, but I don't do any of that. I stay where I am.
Yeah.
I said like, why? And she said that, because you murder. I'm scared. I'm scared if I leave, I cannot go back into my body anymore. And how long has this been going on? 2 years. And then like, what? For 2 years you are just standing there. Okay, then tell me, what's the longest time you stayed beside your body, not going anywhere? And she said 6 hours. 6 hours, she just stand by beside the body, waiting for the silver cord to pull her in.
A waste.
Yes, such a waste. I was like, hey, please go and learn how to control this phase, because you're going to encounter it anyway. Why not, make use of it?
Oh, this is astral projection, right?
Yes, out of body experiences, astral projection is one of them. Correct.
If I could astral project, guys, the first place I'm gonna go is to the toilet and just watch people.
This guys.
Watch people showering.
The astral projection creeper.
Sounds like Hollow Man.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, Mike, back to you.
Oh, okay. I'm a bit lost today. Okay, I was going to ask everyone what's their stance on NDE, but I think everyone's quite clear. We all believe in this.
Yeah.
We need like one more, absolute skeptic to come in and just kind of shoot all of us down.
I think any skeptic who comes to Strange World will just get his ass torn like no way. Like I think there's room, like all along when I was growing up and doing supernatural confessions in the last 10 years, I always had room for skeptics. Like in fact, my very first season, I brought in a skeptic who's also a paranormal investigator at the same time. So there was not just blind skepticism, there was at least some form of knowledgeable skepticism. Then later on, I had the whole, is it real, is it not real? But as we start to grow and get deeper into our knowledge of the esoteric, I realized that skeptics are just the other side of the tinfoil hat group, where on one end of the spectrum, you have people who would just believe about anything and everything that is the paranormal. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have the skeptics who would disbelieve everything and anything, even if the ghost slapped them in the face. So, like pure skeptic on that level, or extreme skepticism, to me is pointless in the discussion, because they just refuse to have the discussion out of fear. But where we are, I think, in a strange world with the three of us, there is the knowledge of esoteric portion. There's also rational thought. I like to think that we are all quite logical and rational.
Yeah.
And it is in this middle ground that we are trying to find an answer. So we're not telling you that it is or it's not, or just plainly tell you, yeah, it's a ghost, or plainly tell you, no, it's not, right? But we like, could it be that science based on this, can we join the dots that maybe tells you the truth?
I think to push that further, I literally just had this conversation with my wife yesterday, where she was, because at night I'm usually doing some of my research and my own personal reading, right? So she'll come in and ask me like, what do you want to know all these things? Like, is it not enough just existing and surviving?
She's trying to blind you for the truth, Mike. She's the enemy.
So I asked her, I say, you're not interested in the secrets of the universe? Like the world is so big you don't want to know any of that. Say no, I just want to earn money and then go and sleep at night.
Oh man.
So I mean, okay, I'm not dissing her. I don't think she's wrong. I mean, there is a certain level of profound truth in what she says. Like that, I think there are just some people, right, who are very satisfied with existing and going through the universe and then passing out the other end.
I mean, look, if she was an actress in The Matrix, it would have been a 15 minutes movie. So why not, Mike? Do you want to take the red pill and go down further to the rabbit hole, or do you want to take the blue pill when you wake up tomorrow as an accountant? And she go like, screw this, blue pill, please. Roll credit.
No, but some people actually like to that. Like, she's not the only one, because I have a lot of friends, right, who also sing the same tune in that sense. Yeah.
I know, I as much as I laugh at her, I have always asked myself this, like, if I did not know what I know now and I could just turn back time, would I be happier living life knowing there's no possession, knowing no goals, and all I do is just perhaps go out, work a 9-to-5 job, try to climb the damn ladder, get my 10K a month, be happy, come home, watch Netflix, weekend I game, I got time. Like some of my banker friends with total, like, we're on the other end of the spectrum, right? So they're flush with cash, flush with time. They spend all their time being happy, womanizing and gaming, and I'm here like on the other end of the spectrum. It's like thinking,
trying to find Hantu.
like doing all this, like what we know now, what does it get us, right? Besides scratching that itch in our head. So sometimes ignorance is pure bliss.
Oh yeah, sometimes I think it's better that way, but too bad lah. Our brains just not wired in that way. Okay,
on the topic of skeptics, right? Skeptics, right? In particular case for NDEs, the NDEs are being criticized for a few different things. One is that it's to gain 5 seconds of fame. With current social media and everything, you talk about this, you get attention, and this is actually could be true. What they're persuaded is true, because the book Heaven is Real, in which a 4-year-old tells his parents how he visited heaven after surviving medical emergency surgery, sold 11 million copies and became Amazon's 17th best-selling book of all time. And then the movie that it inspired grossed 100 million worldwide. So some people will this off as that, okay, this is attention seeking, so that there is an ulterior purpose behind it. Yeah.
How
And
many
also,
NDE cases make that kind of bark?
yeah. Yes,
Wow.
yes. But it can happen. It can happen. And then some people say, right, on the street would say, this is just preconceived notions of death. You know, expectations that you will go through this and this, the tunnel of light. Everybody's talking about it, so this has been implanted, right?
Yeah.
But then, NDEs happen to kids as young as 3 years old. Okay, and this is documented by Morse et al. In the journal 1985 and 86. And at this age, right, I seriously doubt parents have already tried to instill the fear of judgment and death at the time, but they too experience NDEs. And I'd just like to put that into the mix that, you know, this is some skeptics, and perhaps later we'll talk about what does the doctor say, and then I will
Wow.
put on my stethoscope instead of
Ooh.
the cat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going off track, but this is what I need to say. This is what I need. Okay, so so on a personal level, right, when it comes to things like, for example, how children or as young as even 3 years old and below they can actually see heaven, correct? Now, so as someone who's also a Christian, I follow quite a few number of different they're not exactly pastors, but they're called seers. So the difference between pastors and seers is that seers are more like people who can actually physically see angels and communicate. It's like a whole other level. Like, this is another topic that we can come one day if I ever find someone who can come down for the show. But okay, so this particular seer, he he has mentioned before that when he was speaking to a child angel. Now this is weird, okay? Because the background of this is that he has taught before the angels can procreate as well. Angels are a vocation, they are not a race. So he has spoken to these beings before, and what they say is that the the spirit of a child, before it comes down to earth through the fetus and all that, correct?
The stock.
Yeah, correct. The stock, rather. Yeah. So before they get onto the stock transport and come down to earth, right? Correct. They actually do have. So I don't know what extent of a life they have, but they do exist first in heaven before they come down as children, and then when they are birthed, they forget the. I don't know whether is it that they forget, or is it that they are supposed to eventually remember their calling once they grow up. Yeah. So if let's say back to your story, right? Correct. It may be possible, right, that when they experience NDE at such a young age, right, they really just remember the memories of their own being in heaven. So
Mm,
that's something
interesting.
heavy. But yeah. Okay, so I tell you what, let's get back into a bit of the science behind the NDE before we continue. Right. So what I have here is notes that I kind of like collected over because I didn't really know. I was very new to this term in the sense that what is the scientific level. So NDEs are understood as psychological events with transcendental and mystical elements. Basically, it's very unexplained, correct? And it has occurred to individuals, and we already confirmed that with Dr. Young.
Sorry,
Uh,
Mike, I need to pause you for a bit. I hear there's an alarm ringing at the back that's
Oh,
beeping non-stop.
it's not mine though.
yeah, I think it's over. I think my kid's alarm. Let me get to it.
I thought it was the heartbeat, the
Yeah.
yeah.
Someone's about to get a heart attack.
I thought Dr. Young was trying to
Doctor Yeo
get
trying
the
to
mood.
induce heart attack to see whether he can go to the light. Right here, live on Strange World.
Oh, yo.
We see Dr. Young and a near-death experience.
Yeah, lah.
Is that yours or is that his?
Oh, it's definitely stop it.
Good lord, the guy's house is a noise central, Ken.
No, it's a phone ring, right?
Yeah.
No.
Angels are calling.
Hello.
We hear you talking about us. He did not hear all this. Hi, welcome back, Dr. Yong.
I'm gonna watch a replay. Okay.
Okay, carry on. Where were you, Mike?
Okay. Coming back. Right. So now, common features of NDE includes out-of-body experiences, feelings of peace, seeing a tunnel or light, and even encountering deceased loved ones. So here's what happens to the brain during this period. Okay, so the neuroscientific explanation would be they go through what we call cerebral hypoxia, which is reduced oxygen levels in the brain during critical conditions that can lead to hallucinations and vivid experiences. This, I don't know whether it's similar to the athlete's high when they push the body too hard. The next one is a neurotransmitter release. So the brain may release chemicals like a lot of endorphins during extreme stress, potentially leading to sensations of peace and joy. So the science part does kind of explain some of these things, right? Now, the next one would be temporal lobe activity, which is the brain may release abnormal activity in the temporal lobes has been linked to experiences with that is the same with NDEs and also out of body sensation. So that is one thing. So abnormal activity still cannot explain. Now, the next one is the counterpoint. You know, every time I got science, I sure must say counterpoint one, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So consistency across cultures. Now, NDEs across the different backgrounds and culture, right, all have the same, all follow the same pattern. Another one is now when the patients are unconscious during this NDE period, correct? The experiences they have are claimed to be so lucid, even though they are considered clinically unconscious or clinically dead, which goes against all of this because when you're clinically dead, correct, the idea is that your none of this should be happening already. As a matter of fact, it should be like you are in this void or expanse in that sense, lah. Right?
Yeah, when you're
So that's
clinically
why.
dead, all your senses are not supposed to be functioning. So you're not supposed to see, not supposed to hear, not supposed to feel, not supposed to touch.
But they
then,
also say that clinically dead means it's just that your senses still run, right?
no, because at let's say at the 20-second point where blood supply is cut off to your brain,
Yeah.
okay, everything shuts down.
Oh.
Yeah, everything shuts down. Yeah, your senses needs to be interpreted by your system to give you that thought that, oh, I'm feeling this, or that bridge cannot be
Okay,
built.
so scientifically, it is
Yeah.
not possible. Senses are dead after 20
Yeah.
seconds. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. When the brain has lost the minimal blood supply oxygen, then everything goes shut down. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm willing to go with a certain level of percentage, given the data that Mike has shared with us, that out of the let's take the 9 million in 2024 numbers, right, in just US alone, a number of them could be explained through the cerebral hypoxia, neurotransmitter release, coupled with preconceived notion of what death looks like. A percentage of that 9 million could be suffering from this, triggered by this, and then they came back and then they have the experience, and of course the experience is real to them. Another small percentage could be thinking, why not I milk the hell out of this? I could be one of the lucky one who strike gold telling my story. Why not? But there's also, I think, a large number of people who have real NDEs that don't talk about it, that don't explore it further, similar to my friend and slash mentor who had a conversation with the nurse, and that was it. I mean, he's an esoteric learner as well, but he himself doesn't even go any further than this. He don't talk about this to mainstream news. He just tell it to me. And I do believe that is a very high number there, hidden out there, who's not talking about that because of skeptics, and also because they feel there's no need. I'm just alive right now, so that's all that matters.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
But-
The hidden majority.
Yeah.
Hidden majority. Mike, I'll go to you before I just touch a little bit more. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I will say also is that to them, they may not have access to a lot of these things. Like truth be told, right? Correct. Even at that time when that happened, even for myself, I will also probably say the same thing, whereby there is very little access to this kind of information. Like even if you try and Google all this stuff, right? Correct. It's just there's a lot of things that are out there that may point to certain directions, but there's none that collects everything together. So now with the existence of AI and the way information is now being collected together, there may now actually be answers. That is what I think will happen sooner or later.
Mm, mm.
Yeah,
And
that's how I see it.
that this information will become more prominent and easier to access in a more digestible format, so that people don't feel that this is an isolated experience, and then there will be platforms for people to share. And that is again, the work that we do, bringing this
Yeah lah.
esoteric knowledge out into the open, and
lah.
then having a platform to share. I just like to dive a little bit into the medical aspect of NDEs. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh
Are we
yeah,
right
yeah,
there?
yeah, yeah. We are definitely
Yeah.
at this point right now.
Okay. Ta-da!
Hey.
Now legit doctor ni got
Fine lah.
stethoscope,
Not,
okay?
not fine. Okay. So I think the premise behind all the scientific skepticism, right, is that the belief is consciousness does not survive beyond clinical death. That is the prevailing understanding and the prevailing acceptance. So they will find all the reasons why this happens. The lack of blood flow, anoxia, the agents being used, drug being given for a patient who is undergoing this, causing all of this. But then, being the again very very logical, and I want to get to the bottom of this, right? I started finding reasons and explanations and evidence that counters whatever previously all we said, that all right, retinal ischemia. Oh, there are reasons, there are counterpoints for each. So one of them is that they say that you experience the tunnel vision is when your eyes, your retina, has insufficiency, meaning reduced blood flow, and that is why you get that phenomenon. But in sudden heart attacks, the brain is more sensitive to ischemia. The brain is more sensitive than the eye. There's no opportunity to experience tunnel vision from retinal dysfunction. Okay. Yeah. And in cases of coma from trauma, there is no retinal ischemia. The blood flow to the eye is still there, and and that does not account for the NDEs. And also, we talk about temporal lobe, right? Temporal lobe epilepsy is a thing. And also temporal lobe function is found in mystical and religious experiences. Some individuals who have life-threatening episodes, right, and near-death experiences, have recorded temporal lobe epithelium activity when they do a EEG on this person. However, when the entire brain is offline, okay, when from coma or something, when the brain is offline and they still experience this, the temporal lobe is also out of the picture. Okay. And also when there is a brain lesion, or when there is, for example, very, very high dose of alcohol, accessory damage, and the pharmacological side effects of any therapy being used to help a patient post-trauma, okay, may give a picture of delirium. But delirium, right, is like he don't know where it is. He may become a child, and then he starts fighting everybody. This picture, this content of experience is entirely different from NDEs. What Mike mentioned earlier, right? NDEs, it could be a sense of peace, seeing past realities, but this delirium is very different. Okay. And also some people say that the drugs will give this NDE effect. Well, opioids like morphine, okay, they are very weak hallucinogens, yes. But when combined with the confusion that comes with acute trauma, it may evoke vivid experiences. But it's interesting that patients who are on heavy doses of morphine, for example, cancer patients who have bone pain, right? There is no documentation of them having NDEs. So it sort of kicks out this theory of this medication causing it. Okay. And also people talk about REM sleep issues. However, then they call this rapid eye movement intrusions, right? This theory again don't stand when the patient has cardiac arrest because all these things cannot happen. And the last one I think is talking about blood oxygen levels, high levels of carbon dioxide, high levels of these inducing things, right? And then Dr. Sabom, he did his research very, very early on, 1982. He found that in the patients who experienced NDEs, and then he went and take their blood tests, the blood gases, oxygen levels are normal. Okay, and the final nail in the coffin is that we blame drugs, right? So 4 different doctors in probably combined or separate research, Sabom, Osis, Harrelson, and Grayson, found that NDEs occur less often when drugs are given. Okay, they actually occur less when drugs are given. Okay, yeah. So this makes things very interesting. Where I'm reading from, right, is actually my newsletter, Dr. Deep Dive into Divinity, where when I had more time, I went really deep into this. If you're interested, we'll drop the link for you
Yes,
to dive in.
please. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yes.
This backs up a lot of at least using science and someone who's actually a professional in the medical field defending NDE. This must have made you not a very popular person among your peers in the hospital, isn't it?
They don't know I'm here.
I mean, I got a feeling that the people want to disbelieve. That's why they just throw all this thing out as a convenient truth to cover up what could be. But the fact that you are peeling all these layers out and says, no, stop using that as a convenient cover, just makes NDE all the more legitimate experience for those people who are suffering from it.
Yeah,
experiencing it,
I
rather.
would say that one is that their foundation is that consciousness cannot exist beyond that. That's one. The other thing is when they try to accept something, that disrupt this mainframe, right? That means they need to re-understand a lot of things around the world, and it's going to be a very painful process because you fear what you don't understand. So, yeah.
I mean, to tell yourself that at 40 years of believing something is entirely now, I got to tear that down and build a new framework up. It's tough for most people to accept.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this is like what the second time that the human race has gone through this. The first time was during the Newtonian era, where Newton, he hold on, let me get this right. He not invent, he managed to defy gravity thanks to comment number. I don't know which one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember that too.
Yeah, and then after that, and then I mean, okay, so Newton he presented a world through science where everything is physical, is material, it can be touched, it can be experienced. And then when Einstein, with his atomic research, correct, uh, proved that everything exists at a vibrational level, and that if you remove those vibrations, nothing exists. And then that kind of threw Newton's, I would say it threw Newton's stuff away. Like his stuff still better, his stuff is still true. We won't be learning it in schools, but I think Einstein took it even deeper. Yeah. To yes, matter exists, but what is made out? What is matter itself made out of? And then we find that it's nothing, but vibrations
So we have
vibrating at the same time.
Newton, we have Einstein, and up next we have Dr. Young.
Yeah, maybe yeah, like no, but you see, like the science itself, is even pointing towards the spiritual side. Like when we talk about infodynamics, and good thing this is actually the next part of what I want to say. So now we know that infodynamics is the study of how information behaves, and infodynamics also applies to consciousness. Yeah, which begs the question: is if consciousness is a form of information, could it then persist beyond physical death? And rather, or what does it transform into after death? Because we also understand in thermodynamics that when we burn something or when something dies, it doesn't really go away. The energy will dissipate and move on to something else, right? And is NDE a representation of a phase where individual consciousness transits or integrates into a larger information structure? Like, is NDE the proof that we go back to the cloud? No, a lot of memories and our yeah.
NDEs, we go back to the cloud, but then we get downloaded again, you know.
Uh,
We just stay there.
Yeah. Or even then, we go back to the cloud and we come back with more stuff that we don't even know.
Yes,
Yeah.
level up in the cloud.
yeah.
Correct. No, but has there been stuff? Like has there been documented or even stories whereby people with NDE come back with new information?
Yeah, I think there's a
Yeah.
story about a girl who came back and she's able to play the piano when she wasn't able to before.
Wow.
So she downloaded a skill, like she came back with a skill, and it's the kind of skill set that experts say they needed. She needed to have years of experience before she can reach that stage. But yet she did not play the piano before. She had a near-death experience. She came back. She could now play at a professional level.
Ooh, I'm going to copy Eugene here. And this is where Neo says, I know Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I also need that lah. When I was doing my O levels. Where was this? My NDE to
So
suddenly know all my
if
maths.
you look at it this way, that some people are able to astral project, some people are able to tap onto the Akashic records and able to do so at will without having to die. Perhaps those people who had to die to go out there they require that form of shock to the system to break away from the fabric of reality as we know it, to assess things and come back. I do believe that if we are able to train ourselves up to that level, all of us can reach. I think that's how humans function before the internet. We kind of learn things and know things through up there, through a download. But over time, we have been so divorced and detached from ourselves that we are now dependent on external stimuli to be able to learn things. I know. I met this person in India. He through an interpreter, he told me that he runs a kind of shrine that is for people who want to do end of life samidhi. So you get actual healthy people coming down, sitting there and saying, "I am now going to ascend." And they would go there and meditate for 3 days, and they'll be dead. Their soul ejects from their body, and so this shrine or this temple in that part of India is specialized in accepting people who wants to go there to die. Yeah.
Yes.
So how do you die at will? Like, no medicine, no drugs, nothing. Like these are people who are, some of them are like vegetarians that come down, clean body, clean living, no alcohol. Somebody stayed 3 days later, die.
Yeah, and I would say that at certain level of spiritual cultivation, right, you get to transcend what they call destiny,
Yeah.
and then you get to choose. You get to choose your time of departure,
Yeah.
and you get to choose the next round, which world you want to get downloaded
Yes.
to. Yeah.
So when I spoke to him, I'm like, where do these people go? That's the question I'm curious about. He says, so some of them come back down to earth as deities, avatars, or some of them, they will transcend the plane to another world as what we would recognize as gods in our world, or angels. Like in Mary Mike was saying in the early days, in the early part of this episode, angel is a vocation.
Yeah, it's a vocation. Yeah, it's not a race.
So sometimes these people, they come back down as deities, as devas, as avatars to help the living because that's what they choose to do. They feel that mankind need their wisdom and help, so they come down to impart this knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
And-
think if you take NDE as a kickstart, a knee jerk, a jolt to the chest, that's how we can also ascend.
And just now, you mentioned about Einstein and all, right, and actually NDEs are not new. NDEs actually happened to Socrates. NDEs
yeah.
happened according to Plato, which documented Socrates, and then Pliny the Elder recorded another in the first century. In the medical books, the first medical report of NDEs happened in the 1740s from a military doctor, Pure Jean du Monchat. What he writes is a patient who lost consciousness after having too much blood drawn to treat a fever, because last time they used bloodletting as a treatment. The patient later reported he saw such a pure and extreme light that he thought he was in heaven, and affirmed that never of all his life had he had a nicer moment. So the earliest medical report started in the 1740s.
Yeah, so which is why I definitely do believe that science is catching up to the supernatural, in a sense that it's very nice to be a part of this, to be alive in this year, in this current era where where I think scientists are going to find it difficult to disprove the spiritual and the supernatural.
No, 300 years of that, they try to disprove it all the time.
No.
I think there's one or two outcome. One, science have already discovered, but they're not letting the public know about it. Jeng, jeng, jeng. Yeah. Because the more you know, if everyone is able to ascend and be brilliant in ways of their own, without having to depend on education and university, which is money scam as well, then we all will be a much different place that cannot be controlled. So maybe the powers that be
Yeah, lah,
wants to
man.
keep
All
us shackled.
the lizard people, and then all the this one, you know, and then it makes sense, lah. And like my personal conspiracy has always been that there's a lot of information, there's a lot of stories that are covered up because uh, something somehow would say that okay, these people are not ready, or we don't want the human race to advance so fast.
Yeah.
But in what I do, right, bridging science and spirituality,
Yeah.
I will find science to back up what we are discussing.
Yeah.
So NDEs, what about some science to prove NDEs? Would that be cool?
I want to hear this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So there are three ways to verify the transphysical nature of the near-death experience, right? These rule out hallucination or illusion or made-up stories. One is called veridical reported data. And what does this mean, right? Is that frequently during near-death experiences, one portion of the consciousness leaves the body. It does not immediately go elsewhere. It stays in the resuscitation room or somewhat near the body, and then they could, as your Eugene, who you mentioned, right? He documented himself above. He is in the operation. Okay, so there is this Dr. Grayson. He had a patient who OD'd, overdosed, and he was able to recall precise details from his conversation with her roommate. Okay, so Dr. Grayson is speaking to the roommate to collect data. He's a psychiatrist about this lady who overdosed, who was in another room. Okay, and then so this lady who was in another room unconscious subsequently was able to tell her friend that, oh, this doctor you talked to had sprinkled spaghetti on his tie. Okay. And then when Dr. Grayson knew about it, that she never saw him and he knew what happened, he became very, very flustered, right? The only way it could have happened was if she had left her body, and that made no sense to me at all. Okay, this is veridically reported data. That person totally absent, able to see through walls. Okay. The other one is, this is a beautiful story. Okay. This is a documentation, not just a story, a documentation, a real life thing by psychiatrist Dr. Brian Weiss. Okay. So there was this lady who had a heart attack. Okay. And where Dr. Weiss was the chairman of the psychiatry department, she was unconscious as the resus team tried to revive her. According to her later report, she floated out of the body, stood near the window, watching the entire resuscitation process. She observed, without any pain whatsoever, as they thumped on her chest and pumped air into the lungs. During the resuscitation, a pen fell out of a doctor's pocket and wrote near the same window where her out-of-body spirit was standing and watching. The doctor eventually walked over, picked up the pen and put it back in his pocket. He then rejoined the frantic effort to save her. They succeeded. Okay. A few days later, she told her doctor that she had observed the resuscitation team at work during her cardiac arrest. No, he soothingly reassured her, you were probably hallucinating because of anoxia, which is lack of oxygen to your brain. This can happen when the heart stops beating. But I saw your pen roll over to the window, she replied. Then she described the pen and other details of the resuscitation. The doctor was shocked. His patient has not only been comatose during the resuscitation, but she had been blind for many.
Oh shit!
Oh!
Yes.
Oh, my hair standing.
I love this.
Yeah.
My aircon sounded very cold.
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh.
Wow, that was nice. That was a nice punchline.
Yeah.
You know, blind. Wow. Wow.
And then now the lizard people got him. He froze. Oh no, he's back.
Well, hey, you never know. Like, you know, every time we have an internet lag, whether or not it's like
They're
Like
tapping in. They're
yeah,
tapping in.
man, the eye in the sky, the lizard people.
Well, since it's almost going to be 1 hour up, I think there's a nice cliffhanger to this particular episode. We'll come back next week on Strange World, talking more about NDEs. Stay tuned.
What did you find? You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.